I have chosen Meriwether Lewis to be my historical figure for this project, and I am here to tell you guys some highlights. One of them was he was the first to explore the American territory newly acquired in the Louisiana Purchase, and he was known for his frontier skills, military skills, physical endurance, intellectual skills, and his literary skills, and that is why he was chosen to go on the expedition. For my biography, I used the book Meriwether Lewis, Off the Edge of the Map by Janet and Geoff Benz, shown here in the video. My biography in this project will be able to help you understand who Lewis was and his biography was about, how he impacted America and what he has done, and tell you the pros and the cons of the expedition with his co-captain, William Clark. My thesis for the project states, Meriwether Lewis was a young, courageous man who was headed out for an adventure while facing many obstacles that the expedition was so remarkable it would become the most famous exploration in history. Backstory: Meriwether Lewis he was born on August 18, 1774, 9 months after the Boston Tea Party. He had a family of a mother of Lucy, a father of William, 3 sisters, Mary, Jane, and Lucinda, and he had 2 brothers, John and Reuben. After his father died, he ran the family plantation at the age 13 when he returned back to Virginia named Locust Hill. It had 2,000 acres of land, 520 pounds in cash, 24 slaves, and 147 gallons of whiskey. Lewis was a plantation owner, but he wanted to learn how to read and write since he never went to school. He wanted to know about mathematics, natural science, and English. He ended up getting a tutor named Parson Murray. Events that catapulted Lewis into the history books started with when President Jefferson asked him to be his private secretary on March 7, 1801. Jefferson and Lewis looked through Alexander Magazine's journal that laid a map of the North American continent and came up with a plan to cross the American continent to the Pacific Ocean. The route would be to travel up the Missouri River. So, how did Meriwether Lewis become a part of the Corps of Discovery? In the book, Jefferson states, "You possess the qualities one man cannot teach another. By all accounts, you are fair with the men under your command. There was never any question of your honesty when you were regimental paymaster, and you showed undaunted courage when you were required to slip through enemy lines to deliver dispatches. Furthermore, I have observed you with many of my dinner guests, and while you may not have been to university, I consider you to have the intellect to comprehend scientific principles and practices when they are explained to you. And above all, you have my complete and utter confidence. I knew your father long before you were born, and I know you had to be of the same fine character as he was." Once Thomas Jefferson selected Meriwether to go on the trip, they decided to head out. They were going down the river. Meriwether and his men had their first obstacle, which was the Ohio River. They had to deal with tides of the rivers, the trees and the sticks getting in the way, the mosquitoes and the bugs bothering them, encountered fur trappers, and met some people they met along the way, even joined them on the expedition to help. As the journey goes on, they were on the last leg of the journey. Meriwether and 2 of his men encountered the Blackfoot Warriors, which is an Indian tribe. On the morning of November 7, 1807, the ship of the Corps of Discovery, led by Meriwether Lewis, had traveled 4,162 miles from the mouth of the Missouri River to the Pacific Ocean and were the first Americans to reach the western coast of North American continent overland, 1804 to 1806. Lewis and his men arrived back to St. Louis on September 25th at 12 o'clock in the morning. He documented 100 new animals, 178 new plants, and provided 140 maps of the region. Why should we remember Meriwether Lewis? Meriwether represented a rising American empire, one built on aggressive territorial expansion and commercial gain in the West. Also, their adventure reminds us that we are not the first Americans to face difficult choices in troubled times. He had to encounter dangerous Indian tribes, fighting for his life, hunting for food on land that he was not supposed to be on, and just having to save his men without anyone dying or getting hurt in the expedition. Lewis Meriwether had made a great impact that has changed the U.S.